Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is Michael, KE4EST. And today we're going to look at the Heathkit HM-2102. This is a VHF Watt Meter, like mainly made for 2 meters and 50 meters. 2 meters and 6 meters. And it can be, when you calibrate it and adjust it, you can kind of lean it more in one way or the other, because usually that's most likely what you're going to do with it. Set on 2 meters, or you'll have it set on 6 meters in your shack, you know, set up on your rig, usually permanently. That way you can leave it. This one I got 8 to 10 years ago at a Hamfest, and just like you see it, just like I always do, just like it is, some of this dust, you can see the dust there, like especially right in here, and you can see the top of it, that light just where I want it here, you can see, and there was a sticker here. This would be where it was sitting at the Hamfest with a little sticker saying $5 or whatever it was on it. I know it was something really cheap. And, you know, I've seen these things now are starting to climb back in price. Of course, a lot of this stuff's starting to climb in price again. It's getting more popular again, and people want to grab it up. And some people, you know, get it and may, like, I had it sitting, you know, on the shelf for a few years just to have it. Some people want to actually restore it and use it, you know, different things like that. This one here, this particular model anyway, is getting more expensive. I've seen it go for, you know, around $50 if you look on your online auctions, and I've seen it go higher than that if it's been restored and clean and all that. They had the HM-102 model that was for HF, like 3 to 30 megacycles, and they were, I don't know if I should say millions, but they were thousands and thousands of those things. They was more popular than this one, you know, because it was cheaper when they came out. When they came out with these watt meters back in the 60s, they were cheaper. And then, like other things, you know, you didn't buy other gadgets. Say you already got your radio and your antenna set up and stuff somehow, if it's a Heathkit or if it's some other brand or whatever, but you're like, hey man, I'd like to get some accessories or whatever. So the price is like, well, look at that. Get one of those watt meters, you know, they're not that expensive. And most people bought the HF version. You know, more people was on HF there for a while, and then HF kind of waned down a little bit. And as you know, 20 years ago, if I went on 2 meters, 440, I could just turn the dial and it was just repeater after repeater active every evening, people everywhere. Samplex was heavy, you know, mostly FM, but it was there. Now it's went the other way. There's a lot more getting back on HF and doing a lot of digital modes, and I've noticed 2 meters and 440s kind of faded off. I know my 440 repeater hardly ever gets any use anymore. So, try to encourage people and whatever, but I don't know. I mean, it's a combination of that and the internet and everything else, but it's just not as the way it goes. But back then, so you had hundreds of these, thousands of these. So not this particular model, but the HM-102 model was sold because it was cheaper, easier access, you know, accessory to grab it. Hey, I want to get something different, something new. You always want to get something new and different. And so the cost of it, you know, was a big factor. And like, well, that ain't too expensive. I'll grab one of those and build that. So this one here's for 6 meters and 2 meters, not as popular. There's not as many of these floating around, and a lot of them you find are in bad shape or scratched all up or damaged or whatever. And when you do find them, you know, they're more expensive than the HM-102. And I mean, it just varies. I've seen all kinds of, you know, one month these will be crazy, and next month these will be down. You get them for $60, you know, or whatever. So anyway, this one went to 250 watts. You know, so I can tell you, I can spin it around here, let you look. And if you ever watch Mr. Carlson, you know, you always hear him say how every piece of equipment tells a story, and This is, I thought, interesting here. I don't know if I can get this where you can see it. Let me zoom in. Yeah, there we go. It says W60. Let me turn it so I can see it again. W60ZW. So, you know, 6 lands out in California. And I'm in North Carolina, and I either got, this probably came from probably Dalton Hamfest in Georgia. It could come from Chattanooga, Tennessee Hamfest. So it's interesting how that happens like that, or, you know, I don't know, maybe either it's got shipped around on something like eBay a time or two before somebody else took it and decided to sell it, or the guy that had it moved to the East Coast, or who knows. But anyway, so let's get the screws out of this thing and have a look at it and see what's going on with this thing. It is worth mentioning real quick, I almost forgot that. This, if you leave these 2 screws here in, and you leave these 2 screws here in, you take these 4 out here, or, you know, these 2 and these 2 back here, so it's 4. This will come out, and I'll show you just a second as we get this on apart here. Let's just go ahead and leave that screw in, take these out. And you can remote this. If you have a remote setup, so you can have it closer to where your coaxes and everything are coming in, or your antenna switching and all that. That way you ain't got, you know, 10 feet, or, you know what I'm saying, is bunches of long coax jumpers going everywhere, especially in VHF and UHF. The HF version was the same way. And usually, as you can see, this is the first time I took this apart. You can see right here, that's it. This should be like 6 to 10 feet of cable that comes with it. This here should be 6 to 10 feet of cable that comes with it here, so that you can, you know, fold it up and stick it up under there. If you stick this back in there, you see it's even, there's room in here to fold that cable up and stick it in there. So if you want to use it like this, all in one unit, without it being remote. But whoever's built this, or somebody's modified it, and they've took and made the cable really short. So they're like, well, I'm not going to remote anything, so I'll just do it like I want it. So I don't know if the original guy that built it did this, or if somebody later on did it. So anyway, there's that. Let me get this other screw out of here. And you can go online with this one. Some things are harder than others. This one, you can go online real easy and find the instruction and assembly manual. Now that's another screw. No, it's just sticking. So you can see there was a sticker there of some kind. That's gone now. And then on the bottom, I noticed earlier, here's a sticker with, you know, the little silver looking sticker that's a Heathkit, and serial number and all that. That's missing. But of course, this side there ain't a whole lot to it. This where we can see this. Of course, your actual meter here. This, yeah, you can see that. That's one of them. This is like a regular little slide switch that's mounted in there. And then on the back of this potentiometer, there's a pull bar. with what looks like a bobbin. It goes in a sewing machine on the end of it, and it grabs that and moves that. And the reason it's like that is so you can turn it, of course, potentiometer to turn. No matter where you turn it and get to where you want, you can push and pull that. You pull it out to calibrate your SWR to bring your needle all the way over, and push it in to get your SWR. So, and then there's your wafer switch here to set your 25 watts, 350 watts, or SWR mode. Okay. So not a whole lot to that there. But let's take this apart now. If we can get in here. Hopefully this guy has left a little bit of room so we can get to the circuit good. Now I've seen somebody read somewhere, he said, you're taking all them screws out. Why don't you use a drill or a electric screwdriver or something? You know, a drill with a screwdriver tip bit on it or something. And I'm like, I will, and I do. If it's something like Phillips head or Torx or something, or it'll, you know, hold pretty good. Even some Phillips, you know, older stuff, it's kind of don't stay in good, because so you kind of want to use that manual hand control to get in there and put that pressure like you want it, so you know you don't slip out and scratch up something. But with flathead, it's so easy. You stick that in there and it just goes, and you'll put a big scratch across something. So with flathead, no, let's not do that. Let's just do it. Let's not be lazy and do it the old-fashioned way. When we come to the flatheads, you'll have a lot better, a whole lot less chance of scratching something up, and especially when you're trying to restore something. Okay, come off of here. Yep. That gives us a little bit of room. Did a good job on that. Okay. You can see, well, that's interesting. Oh, never mind. Thought that was a 10K resistor at the end of this. Let me find something to point with here. I thought right here, you can see that was a broke resistor, but it's not. Here's the resistor. And what I do like so far that I'm seeing, these are all Allen Bradley style resistors. So unless this thing was set outside and under a carport or something for a long time, with a lot of moisture, there's a good chance that them will be okay. Actually, the mica capacitor, no, ain't mica. Actually, all these capacitors should probably be good. This thing may need a good cleanup and going over and trying it out. There's the other side. So, not a whole lot going on there. Just your bypass capacitors. But they did a good job of bringing this board. You know, that's what you need when you get in the VHF, you know. Your connectors here on the back with your SO239s, you need to bring this right up to as close as you can. Keep that as short as possible, so you don't get no stray inductance or capacitance and causing other problems or improper readings and things like that. But I didn't think there'd be a whole lot to this, and I'll go through and check all these parts out and see if anything needs to be replaced. But there's a really good chance it's going to be fine. Just do a little calibration on it. And I knew this, and I looked at this. You know, I've got several things I want to do videos on, and this is one of the things I was looking at, and I was like, I kind of like to do a video on that, but you know, there's not going to be a whole lot to it. But somebody gets one of these and has one of these and wants to see what's inside, or reassure them that what can be done or what can't be done or what needs to be done or whatever. So there you go. Everything's labeled good. Let me see. Yeah, this definitely ain't a factory job. And also see how this here, kind of move that back and forward, catch the light, just try it. That's all scratched up. Somebody's had something in that at one time. I don't know if they, I have to see if the manual says anything about this particular standoff hole here. Huh. Because it wouldn't make sense to put this the other way. Mount it here. You can see it's across from it there, but you can see from that solder if you look at it good. Take a good look at that. This is definitely somebody's homebrew job, or not homebrew, but you know, the kit was made at home. A lot left over. What's that, rosin? A lot of that's left over. Different kind of cuts they've made, and they've clipped off leads. It's not all uniform, so it's definitely a hand job. They've used their hand. So I don't see anything that looks like cold solder joints off hand, but look, they're clean. There's one there, I suspect. I'll probably go back and hit all these again, double check them, especially since there's not a whole lot to the board here. And then we'll go through the calibration on this thing, and we'll set it up and try it out on 2 meters. That's what we'll do. See how it comes out. Now, I don't have a calibration system, you know, for watt meters. I don't even have a bird. But this goes through a calibration, and on calibrating it, if you don't have any other kind of watt meter, then it says you can, you know, of course, adjust the things to match another watt meter. So it's kind of, you know, unless you got some kind of calibration system, this ain't going to be perfect. But mostly, you know, what you want when you do this anyway. And of course, I'm talking about the watt meter part, not the SWR. You want a relative indication anyway. When you key down on 50 watts, you know, or 100 watts, you want to see that needle move up around there. And, you know, you feel good that, hey, it's working. If you key down, it's only, the needle don't move at all, or just barely reading what looks like around 5 to 10 watts or something like that. Uh-oh, I'm going to have a problem somewhere, or I don't have my power turned up. Something like that. So, of course, this ain't really a piece of test gear anyway. That's, you know, used for calibrating radios or anything like that. It's mainly, you know, this was a kit that you build at home and you set up and you use for a relative indication that things were working or close to working what they're supposed to be doing. So, like I said, I don't personally myself have any kind of way to calibrate a watt meter, you know, properly down to the something that would be, you know, lab spec. So we'll go through it and anyway, and go through the manual on it, and I'll match it to another watt meter I've got and see how close it comes to the store-bought watt meter, and we'll go from there. But I'll get it all cleaned up, and I'll go through and clean everything really good, clean the case, clean the front, check everything, check all the components, check the solder joints, all that. Get that all done. And then I come back, we'll do a calibration and go over the manual and schematic on it. Okay, everybody. I'm back here. I've got the unit off, went and cleaned it up, went through everything, lubricated the potentiometer, cleaned the contacts, and the other part over here, you can kind of see. Went through all this on the back side, went through, touched up some solder joints, Checked everything. Everything checked out. I mean, checked out good, kind of like I thought it would. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go back here. We got poly caps and ceramic disc caps, and we got the Allen Bradley style resistors. So, I mean, not really a whole lot to go wrong here. So, anyway, just wanted to show you what it went over it there. This here's cleaned up quite a bit what it was. Okay. So, we're going to go through the alignment procedure. And if you happen to have one of these and you want to go through this too, and this here would be R6. Remember it says R6, and this variable capacitor here, this is called C4 for your nulling out of your SWR. Then right here, you can see that, yeah. Here's the jumper. You move back and forth, normal, and calibrate. So, let me get coax and everything hooked up to it, and we'll go through the alignment procedure. Okay, what I'm going to try to do is try to put this camera mostly on the meter here. And face the meter, and I'll be over in here messing around. What I'll be using is this alignment tool here. Mostly plastic, but it's got a metal tip in it. Now this actually is what the user's manual calls for when they go through the alignment procedure. So I've got it printed out here. So let's kind of go through this. Now the first thing, I noticed they didn't mention this, or at least in the, maybe they mentioned it in another part of the manual, but you see how this, yeah, see how this is off here. So the first thing you want to do, of course, is you want to come in here and adjust this here and put that with nothing, you know, running or nothing, no radios are keyed up, no going through it, and adjust this until you've got that needle right there on the bottom of that first mark. Okay, just like anything else, and that's, you know, shouldn't have to mess with that for a long time. It probably, I don't remember if it was off a little bit or it got off, and I took everything, pulled the face off, cleaned everything and all that. Alright, so let me just show you here. See how they're showing using sticking a metal blade into what they're calling the nut starter here. This plastic wand here, so. And it goes over preparation of making that. Then it says connect up your 50 ohm non-inductive load, such as it says here the Heathkit Cantana. If anybody remembers that or seen one of those, you know, it's one of those 1 gallon paint cans. Or you can hook up a antenna. And I've got hooked to an antenna just so we can see, because if I hook to my dummy load, everything's going to be flat. And I want to see if it shows. I know the SWR is a little bit high, not real high, like 1.6 or something like that to 1. Connect up the transmitter, set the function switch to, back off just a little bit, 25, which it is on 25. Okay. Push this SWR sensitivity control knob in and turn the control fully counterclockwise. So it is pushed in. And let's see me turning that. I've got the camera kind of up a little bit higher right now so we can see a little better because I'll be over here. So we did that. Connect the calibration jumper on the remote chassis circuit board to the cow pin, which I've already done. I was showing you about that. And it says turn on the transmitter and set it to the CW mode or FM mode on 6 meters or 2 meter band. Then tune the transmitter and watch the RF power meter needle move up scale. If the meter needle does not move up scale, refer to the in-case difficulty section. So what they're saying is, you know, if you key the transmitter and this don't move at all, then you need to check something out, something ain't right. Let's do what it says first before I jump into the SWR balance adjustment. And it's about just, you know, key in the transmitter. And you see the needle moves. And it's showing 15 watts. Okay. I don't know if that's right or wrong or whatever, but it is moving. As it says move the function switch to SWR. Okay. So we're going to do the SWR balance adjustment. Okay, so it says set the function switch to SWR, which I did. Apply transmitter power and adjust the SWR sensitivity control for a mid-scale reading. Okay. So key up. That's about mid-scale there. Then adjust the C4 trimmer. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, which is for your SWR null, for the best null, or the greatest dip in the meter needle. Okay, so we're going to do that. Key up. Yeah, let me get on there. Bring it down. Alright, it's going back up. Alright, so I've got that nulled out. Readjust us to our sensitivity control for a maximum reading. Okay. Oop. Maximum reading right about there. Repeat the two preceding steps, make these fine adjustments carefully and precisely. The accuracy of the instrument depends on a well-balanced bridge circuit. So we're going to go through and see if we can null any of this out. We can just a little bit. Oh, see that? Then bring this back up. Try this again. Okay, that's about what we're going to get. You can, like it says, you can go back it a few times if you really want to get it perfect, you know. And that's, I mean, that's pretty close though. Pull the SWR sensitivity knob to its out position, then set the SWR sensitivity control for a full scale reading. So we want to pull this out, and I always back off, because if this is over there and you key your transmitter, especially if it's on high power, it's going to slam your needle. So I always back off when I do this. So let's kind of read over it before we do it. Pull it out, and then key the transmitter and adjust this to the full scale. And then push the switch in and note the meter reading. If the meter reads higher than 1.5, refer to in case of difficulty, which mine might a little bit, because I've got it hooked to an antenna. So let's key it up. Just I went a little too fast there. Right there. Push it in, and yep, I was reading about 1.6. You can see that. Let me turn that a little bit there. So that's about right. Okay. To do the power meter calibration. Okay. And then it goes over, you know, you need to change the value of C2 if you're using 2 meters and 6 meters. And I look, this one here is set for 2 meters. And I'm using 2 meters, so I didn't have to change anything. And it goes on about that. But it starts off with putting the function switch on 25 watts setting. Connect to calibrate, which we still do. Tune the transmitter on the 2 meter band. Note the meter reading. Key it up, note it. A little past 15 watts. Now, connect it to the normal position. Okay, you can't see what I'm doing, but we're changing that to the normal position. And then key the transmitter and adjust R6 till they read the same thing. Whoop. Really touchy. So that's about the same as it was. And this is repeat steps 2 through 5 until the meter readings, are exactly the same. So you need to go back and forth, back and forth. So go back to calibrate and key that up. I'll pass 15. Put it back on normal. Okay, and get ready to adjust. Well, that's about it right there. Okay. And that's about right. That's radio set on, supposed to be a 10 watt setting, but it always reads a little high. Okay. And then you need to connect to the leave it on the normal pins, normal pin when you're done. And then it goes through calibrating with an external calibration if you have a bird watt meter or some kind of nice setup to calibrate that way. But anyway, not that much to it. Pretty simple calibration setup. So anyway, let me get this thing all back together and let you see it all cleaned up and done, and we'll end up this video. And let's look at, you can get that when you see it, the schematic. Not really a whole lot to show to you here, and like I said, it's very, very easy to get online. But it's a real simple circuit. It's not really fancy. It's, not the most accurate, like I said. But you got your input and output, going straight through. You got your transmitter here going out to your antenna. You got your pickup coil here, which is, you can see right in here. Get that where you can see it, it's this right here. See where the wire's coming through and just going straight from one connector to the next, and there's your pickup coil. And you got a 50 ohm load across that just to kind of keep the Q right. And then you got it comes through here, rectifies it, and it goes through your you see that. And you go through your voltage divider here, depending on what setting you have it on. 25 watts or 50 watts. And then it's going to read it on the meter. Got plenty of ferrite beads and things like that to keep as much RF out of this as we can. So there's that. Like I said, not a whole lot to it. Real basic, real simple, so that's the schematic. I kind of wanted to show you here. I'm putting this back together. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to hold this unit here together. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got to go on the back. So just want to kind of show you how well they did, trying to, well, I could put a couple here and a couple here, it'd be fine. I'll hold it together, but the more metal they can press together and hold together, and really it makes it more RF tight. And that's the reason they've got so many screws in it, in case you're wondering, why is it so many screws? Well, that's to keep the RF down, keep RF outside from your antenna as it's coming in. It's going to stay out of this so that your meter is going to read more accurate. So even though it's not a $1,000 meter and super fancy and calibrating a big lab somewhere or whatever, it's they did a good job at trying to keep it as RF quiet inside this box as they could. So just want to kind of show you that as I'm going through this here. So back to putting it back together. Alright guys, here it is all put back together. And you can remember what it looked like. How dirty it was and a mess. You can see now. Now what I did was this here got a repaint job, and just like I did before with the SX, yeah, the SX140 Hallicrafters receiver, there's a guy on eBay. I'm not affiliated with him, don't know him except for bought a couple things from him. You go to eBay and search paints for old vintage gear and stuff. He's got stuff for Hallicrafters and I think some Swan stuff and Heathkit and a couple other things. But he's got, I reckon, I read a story about it somewhere. I don't know if it's on his eBay store or if I found a website or something I was reading. Maybe it's QRZ or something, where that's what his job was or whatever. He did paints and stuff, matched paints for body, for cars, body work for cars and stuff like that his whole life. So he's an older guy, and so he really knows what he's doing on matching paints up. He's got his own machines and set up to match the paints and to fill the aerosol cans and all that stuff properly. So this one here turned out really good. Now you can see, I don't know if you see that. I guess you really can't. There's like a little nick here. I didn't take this all the way down to bare metal, as you can kind of see. There you can see it right there. See the texture they've put in here. So I kind of wanted to maintain that because the paint I got don't do that. It's kind of like a hammer tone, and you can buy hammer tone paints, but this one's not. So, and of course I could have took it down all the way to bare metal to get out some of these little dings and stuff, little scratches, and maybe got some of those out, because some of them's in the paint underneath here. And then sprayed this down with like a white hammer tone or something, and let it dry really good, and then went up over it with this. But what I did is I cleaned it really, really good. Actually probably took more time than I need to on just this here, but and then spraying this so that it looked good. But that there looks like it, there's a little bit of scuffs here on the knobs. I cleaned them up as best as I could, but other than that, this thing looks like it's come off the. And the only thing I would have done different if I'd done it over, but I'm like, yeah, now is take these SO239s and replace them with new ones. But anyway, so there it is. Hope you enjoyed this little video over it. I've got several other things I'm working on, wanting to do and stuff, and this was kind of like a little filler, and I kept looking at this and looking at this, and I was like, hey, and you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a video on it. So there's the Heathkit HM-2102. I think I've got 2 or 3 of the HM-102s. But they're all pretty much the same, just the internals are a little bit different, the values of the components, but inside it's almost identical. So there you go. I hope it helps somebody out if you've got one on restore it and kind of was wondering about some things or whatever. And like I said, if you want to get, he's got this color paint too, that guy does, and this color. This one's called Heathkit Light Turquoise, is what he's calling it, and he's got a Heathkit Dark Turquoise. The only thing with that is you got to, figure out somehow to, there's ways you can take something like a Vaseline or something, or some kind of oil, and go over this very, very carefully, and this lettering, spray it, and then you go back and take it off. But you can, you still can always see kind of like where it was at. So I mean, I've seen people do it that way, to try to leave this like it is and not have to redo it. And it's won't look too bad. And some people really bodge it up really bad. They put some kind of thin coat of oil over it. Something the paint ain't gonna stick to. Just barely apply it, with a Q-tip or something over the lettering and the numbers and this here very carefully. Something that's gonna stick really good, but can be washed off without taking any paint or lettering off. and then spray it really good. Take all this out, the knobs out, you know, pull the feet off, everything, spray it good, and then go back over it, and it looks good. And most of them though don't look so good. So this one here is good. I mean, you know, it looks like I might have painted or something. I didn't. It looks, that's factory. Just cleaned it up really good. So anyway, until the next video, this is Michael, K4EST 73.